Hello there, welcome to Saberduelgaming, where we always take the high ground, and we continue with Resident Evil month, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the release of the original game. Today, we are going to move away from the main Resident Evil games themselves, and we're going to take a look at something that came along with Resident Evil 5, one of two bonus games that came with later editions of the game. We're going to take a look at Lost in Nightmares, a retro review. Lost in Nightmares is a prequel game set 3 years before the main Resident Evil 5 story, so spoiler warning, this will give you pretty much all the main plot points for Resident Evil 5. In this mini-story, Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine end up venturing back to the Spencer mansion to try and capture Oswald E. Spencer, one of the co-founders of Umbrella. Like the main Resident Evil 5 game, the game can be played as a one-player with the computer controlling your other partner, or as a co-op mode. However, unlike the main Resident Evil 5 game, this feels a lot more like the original Resident Evil game, at least partly due to the location itself. Lost in Nightmares very much feels like it's split into two parts. The first part sees you running around and exploring the mansion yet again, and is mostly littered with puzzles. You pretty much don't come across any other characters or threats, apart from the booby traps and puzzles themselves. Then, in the second part of the game, you venture further down into the mansion, where you will indeed come across a fair few hideous monsters. The episode then wraps up with a direct confrontation with, instead of Oswald E. Spencer, Albert Wesker. The outcome of this very much sets up where Resident Evil 5 begins, and gives you a lot more context as to where everything and everyone fits, whilst also providing a nice amount of nostalgia for the earlier games. Whilst the controls are identical to Resident Evil 5's main game, everything else about it feels very different. The environment, the camaraderie between Jill and Chris, and the story itself feels a lot more akin to the earlier games, which makes it a really nice contrast alongside the main Resident Evil 5 story. Playing this recently on the Gaming Lord 04's channel, you can go and check that out if you want to see a full playthrough, was the first time I'd ever done this, and I had to admit I really enjoyed it. It was a lot more chilled initially, the first half spent wandering around the upper parts of the mansion, with only a few puzzles to solve and the occasional little booby trap. That did change, and when we went down into the bowels of the game, it became a lot creepier, and it went straight from no villains at all to ones that would absolutely cause you nightmares. You go straight past shuffling zombies and straight in to nightmare-fueled monsters. Graphically, the game is beautiful as well, and the fact that this shows the Spencer Mansion but in a very different way to what we saw in both Resident Evil and the remake of Resident Evil really allows you to explore it in a completely original manner. This is the point of a review where normally I would look back and see how it was rated at the time when it first came out. However, that's kind of tricky because this wasn't actually released as a game on its own merit. However, overall, the comments, discussions and reviews of this game were mostly very positive. There was a few minor negatives, those being that mainly the game is very short, but it is basically a bonus game, a DLC, so that's kinda to be expected. Some people also find the fact that the early part of the game had very little in the way of enemies and was very puzzle and exploration heavy. Lastly, there are some comments that the final boss is quite unforgiving. However, all of these points are, I think, overall minor gripes for what is otherwise a very enjoyed game. But if we try and look at it with a slight degree of modern scrutiny, there's very little to criticise. This game stands up perfectly well and is still very enjoyable. Again, as a bonus additional mini prequel to a still very good game, this is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Quite frankly, to some degree, I felt this had a much more of a real Resident Evil vibe than Resident Evil 5 itself did. And that's not a criticism of the main game. This just really linked back to what I loved about Resident Evil. Similar to Resident Evil 5 itself, I will also say that this game was a lot more fun to play as a multiplayer, a co-op game, than it is to play on its own. But on its own, it'd still be a lot of fun to play. While it's not as action heavy as the main Resident Evil 5 game, I kind of enjoyed that. It was a casual and relaxing exploration of the Spencer Mansion, and whilst I love the fixed camera angles of the original game, getting to see it from this different perspective was really enjoyable. It's a shame that so much of it was locked off. Still, it was lovely getting to enjoy the mansion from this different perspective, and by the time we get to that final fight, you're in for a treat. Lost in Nightmares is a wonderful addition to an already really good game. It complements the main game so well because it's similar but also has its own unique flavour, and it adds to the story. For me personally, I think giving this game a 7 out of 10 seems fair. It's only short, but what you get while you're playing it is still so much fun. But what do you think? Have you played this? Do you think I scored it too high or too low? Comment below and let me know. And if you'd like to see me review more DLC, bonus games or expansions, let me know that too. It's something different. I hope you continue to join me for the rest of Resident Evil month, and until next time, take the high ground.